Hello everyone, thanks for coming back for another video. I've just finished watching the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Now, just to start, I beforehand really liked the older theatrical cut, I suppose you could call it, of Justice League, the one that was finished off by Joss Whedon. When it first came out, got a lot of bad hate, but I personally really enjoyed it. However, Zack Snyder then announced at some point along the way, I can't remember the ins and outs of it, but he mentioned that he had actually had his own version of the film pretty much finished, pretty much. But it was like, he was teasing things here and there on Twitter, and then was like, what, you have your own version of the film? Like, there's another version of Justice League? And as a Zack Snyder fan, I wanted so badly to see that film. And then this is when the whole hashtag release the Snyder Cut began on Twitter and social media. And I had my part in it. I'd put it on there all the time on Twitter or other social media stuff because I really wanted to see this film. I really wanted to see this version of the film that Zack Snyder said he'd had. You know, we were told there's like 2 to 2.5 hours of footage that was left on the, cutting room floor of the editor's room that wasn't in the Joss Whedon version. And so, as time went on, I thought, oh man, we're never going to see this. I'm never going to see this film that I've always wanted to see. I'm not going to see it. And I thought, Warner Brothers aren't going to, surrender to the fact that fans want to see another version of the film. Are Warner Brothers thinking that if they release it, is it kind of them admitting fault and failure to the original film? And I just thought, oh man, it's never going to see the light of day, this film. But I was wrong. Because then last year, I'm pretty sure it was last year, they announced, or Zack Snyder himself announced that he is making a Snyder Cut. I was like, oh my God, this is cool. This is going to be amazing. 2 hours of Zack Snyder's vision. And then he announced it's 4 hours. 4 hours. I was like, oh, what? 4 hours? I've got 4 hours to... I was just like, oh, I just lost my mind. Even now, having just watched it, I'm like, this is insane. Insane. And so, I have just finished watching, in one whole go, the 4 hours, or 3 hours, 52 minutes, whatever it is, of the Justice League Zack Snyder Cut. And, oh man, was it good. I mean, I was a fan and enjoyed the Joss Whedon version. I freaking love this version. This was awesome. So what made it awesome? First of all, the length. The fact it was 4 hours gave it time to breathe. When you watch it, I'm not going to have any spoilers, but when you watch it, the Joss Whedon version really is an edited version. It's just a cut down, heavily humorized, if that's even a word, humorized, it's a word now, heavily humified, that's a new word, whatever. Films are made much more funnier for no reason. And so, like, the Joss Whedon or theatrical cut, whatever you want to call it, version of this film just feels so much more edited and just so cut down and so thinned out. It feels like a slim diet version of Justice League. Whereas what I just watched, the 4 hour version, is a full, fat, full of goodness film. Oh, it's so good. So the fact it was longer gave the story and characters time that they actually needed on screen. So overall, every part of the story is better. The characters have more time. The Flash and Cyborg have such a bigger role in this film. Why it wasn't in the original one, I don't know. And now that I've seen this version, compared to the original version, what I thought the original version was okay is now rubbish. I don't like it at all anymore. This film is so much better because it is longer and because it is able to tell a much better story overall. So, other than editing and the length of the film and the story, what else made this film better than the theatrical cut? Steppenwolf. He actually looks menacing. He actually seems and feels fearful, and you don't like the look of him, and you think, oh man, here comes Steppenwolf again. Compared to the theatrical cut, now that I can see the comparison, it's just a tall old bloke. In the 4 hour Zack Snyder cut, he's so much more evil looking. Even like his voice seems more, it's just more evil and he just sounds far cooler, and the CGI on him is so much better. The CGI before was really naff. Now he actually looks like he's had time to be, developed and actually be created properly by the artist. He's actually had time to look how he should have done, and not just an old bloke who's tall with armor on. And just overall, throughout the whole film, the CGI is much better quality, much more detail, just a lot better. So that's another reason this film's good, is for Steppenwolf's much cooler, much more badass, much more menacing, it's the right word, menacing, and CGI is better. What else makes this film good? The action. There is so much more action in it, and the tone of the film is much more gritty and action-packed and not like light-hearted comic booky. I would say if you've seen the original one and you enjoyed it like I do, it's the same action scenes, but better or extended or edited more. There's blood in this. There's loads of, there's some quite, not gory, but there's some quite more violent and more, I think it's called America R-rated violence in this film. And it just lends itself so much better to the Zack Snyder vision of the previous films. It's grittier. It's a bit more realistic and grounded. It's cool. And that's not to say it's just an action scene extended. I would say there are more action scenes, and it's just better. It's just a better film. The other big thing I noticed for this film compared to the theatrical cut that's better is the music. The music, I'm a big fan of Danny Elfman, who did the music for the theatrical cut by Joss Whedon and stuff. But this one with Tom Holkenborg or Junkie XL is so much better. It's so much more in tone with the film. The soundtrack in this film is just so much cooler and so much more like deeper and more like visceral and more aggressive. Whereas I found Danny Elfman's one was too light-hearted. It just didn't suit it. The scenes, some of the scenes you see in this film are from the same theatrical cut one, or extended, like I said, but they just are so much better in this version with the new music than they are in the theatrical cut. Way more. A really good example of this is, if you've seen the film, is the scene where you've got the terrorists go into that building in London. In the theatrical cut, it's this really weird, 1989 Batman style of music, and it doesn't suit it. The terrorists don't seem terrorizing. The terrorists don't seem scary. They aren't taken seriously. And the music just doesn't suit the scene at all. It makes it way too light-hearted and not as serious at all. Whereas in this version, with the new music, my word, what a difference it makes. The terrorists seem terrifying. The terrorists are scary because the added violence that Snyder's let be in the film. It's more violent. It is more fear. You are more fearful of these terrorists. You do feel more tense. You do feel more tension in the scene. And it's just such a better film and better scenes just for the new music. And I found that throughout the whole film. I will admit, I did find the music would start to kick in with the new music, and then it would change scene, and the music would change. Some of the tracks or music or scenes, the music wouldn't continue where it would. You start to bounce your head to the music, going, yeah, here we go, and then it would change. The music would just change. And happened a few times. I just didn't feel right, but the music does match the scene, but you can't get it. You haven't got long enough to get into the music and feel pumped up by it, which is a shame. I would just say, just overall, it's so much more enjoyable. I loved it, and it makes me want to have some more of this DC films and DC universe directed and created by Zack Snyder. He has got ideas. I hope the studios let him run with it and make more of these DC films. I really do. Because throughout this film especially, there are so many little hints and little Easter eggs, or not necessarily Easter eggs, little breadcrumbs, like a breadcrumb trail of where he could go with it, other ideas he's got, the visions he's got, the stories he's got, and I want to see more of it. So I really hope the studio let Zack Snyder do more DC films, because I think he's got some great visions. There's some great cliffhangers in this film, and you just want to know what has Zack Snyder got planned for next with these films. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If we maybe get something like 100 views, which I very much doubt, to be honest. If we get 100 views, I'm more than happy to do a spoiler talk video. I'd really enjoy doing that, to be honest. That'd be freaking awesome, going through the film again and talking about all the spoiler stuff. So I'm not going to do it really unless we get a good amount of views in the video. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, comment below, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and take care.